My name is Mike Anderson. We're standing on my home property where I've lived all my life in the Tunqua Creek Valley, and behind us is a fire that apparently is out of control about 2 to 3 kilometers to the east of us.
And how at risk are you right now, say if the winds change, because winds are blowing from the west?
If the winds change, that fire could be upon us in an hour, realistically. I mean, we're staying here, we're putting sprinklers out, we're watering the ground down around the house. We're going to deploy sprinklers on the roof of the house if we can get them. And just stay here and keep things watered down. We have livestock, we have to protect our livestock. We'll turn them loose into the hay fields where they're not at risk and just wait it out. I've sent my wife, I've sent my daughter, my granddaughter all out in town because we don't want to put them in danger, but the men in the family are all staying here to look after the place.
What's your biggest issue right now with how things are going?
My biggest issue, I have quite a few issues with the BC Fire Service at this point in time. One of the biggest issues I see here is that we've got very little manpower on it. I hope today, from making some phone calls and whatnot to higher up levels, that we're going to get some manpower, some cooperation on it. Up till now, I've seen no Indigenous involvement from the local First Nation. I see local equipment sitting within 1 or 2 kilometers of the fire and not being deployed. And it's just that we're not actioning them fast enough. We're not actioning them locally. We're not making the connections before time. Beforehand, we should have protocols in place for the First Nations and the local citizens, because they're the people that know the land. They're the people that have an interest in the land. If I work for the Skeetchison Band, I'm their natural resource CEO. I have a crew of 45 people. There's 20 of them that know this land intimately. And the thing is, if they're out there working with the BC Wildfire Service, whatever happens here is going to affect them for the rest of their lives, and their kids for the rest of their lives, and their grandchildren for the rest of their lives. Because we just went through the Elephant Hill fire in 2017. 192,000 hectares of our territory was burnt, or mostly within our territory. That's about 40% of Skeetchison territory that's been burnt out. That's going to affect generations to come. The ranchers within that area, it's going to affect generations to come. They have to rebuild their fences. They have to rebuild their pastures, etc. Firefighters, with all due respect, firefighters are good at their job. But there's no consequences for a firefighter. If the fire gets away, if this fire gets away and wipes out my woodlot, wipes out my ranch, there's no consequences to the firefighter. There's definitely consequences to me. There's consequences to my children. There's consequences to my grandchildren. We've spent, 3 generations, 4 generations building this up. We can't afford to lose it. And what I've seen of the actions of BC Wildfire Service is a lack of use of local knowledge. We need to embed local knowledge and First Nations knowledge right into the management crew on any one of these wildfires, and it needs to be embedded immediately. We can bring local knowledge to the service. We can tell them where the roads are. I can get them people that can tell them exactly where the roads are, how many roads there are, what kind of condition the roads are in. They can tell them where all the water hole sources and water is. We can also bring a knowledge of what equipment is available here and what skidder operator, what buncher operator in the immediate vicinity knows the land, so we can send them up to Durand Lake and say, take such and such a road, and you know exactly where to go. We can also bring mapping resources to them as well. We have a very comprehensive mapping department that produces up-to-date mapping, much more up-to-date than the Ministry of Forest has been producing up to now. So these are resources that we have, and I'm saying this through the band more than myself, but it's local knowledge. Nobody knows this ground like the people that live on it and the people that have lived here for generations. Whether we're First Nations or otherwise, lots of us have lived here for generations, and we know it intimately. First Nations have lived here for 100 generations and know it more intimately. But right now, I don't see BC utilizing that knowledge adequately and utilizing it in an efficient, quick manner.